Hi. So today we are gonna be continuing with the series that I have started quite a while ago. I mean, not quite a while, maybe a month or two ago. So we are about to wrap all this. Two more signs to go after this. So today we are gonna be doing Gemini. So yesterday, not yesterday, last time we did Cancer. And so before I start with Gemini, like we need to touch upon the energy right before it, because that kind of sets up the tone for this archetype, for every archetype, the previous one and the followed by. So in Cancer, what Cancer does, if I'm gonna list the link of all these videos that I have done. I'm gonna I'm gonna post the link of the playlist, so you can watch whenever, whatever you feel that you need to learn more. But seriously, this is a very I'm very proud of this content that I'm putting it out. I know that it's new in terms of how we are looking at astrology and how we are looking at energy. But really, I feel like there is a lot to learn from it. I'm learning a lot from this, so I just wanted to share. So I think it would be really nice. I mean, it would be really helpful for you, more than nice. I mean, it would be really helpful for you if you listen to those videos, and and just whenever you have time. But anyway, so the Cancer, what Cancer did, Cancer is the opposite archetypical energy of Capricorn. So if we know what Capricorn did, Capricorn is, again, it's by the way, I just took a shower couple of minutes ago, so my hair is little unkempt, but it's okay. um so the Capricorn is like all about primary link to nature, which brought a lot of fear, lot of limitedness, lot of like reductive thought of what we can do, because Capricorn is so like Capricorn energy is so tensed about death, about cannot control the nature, cannot control the weather. It sees all the calamities that nature can bring. So that energy standpoint creates a sense of limit. So what Cancer did, because it's the opposite archetypical energy of Capricorn, and it's a feminine energy, so Cancer understood, Cancer understood the nuance of nature is not the opposition. It's like Capricorn is really worried about death because it cannot control death, so everything is driven by the death drive. Almost everyone, but Capricorn energy primarily driven by death drive, a huge death drive. If you want to know more, you can, because I cannot explain all of it again, but just touching upon the highlights of these two signs before I get into Gemini. So if you want to know more, and if you cannot understand just by this glimpse, so please listen to that video, Capricorn video and Cancer video, before you come to this Gemini, before you continue with this. Anyway, so Cancer is kind of Cancer, that's why it's a birthing energy, and birthing energy is like a bringing death and birth, concept of death and birth together without the separation. Like death does not end life, and life does not begins with death. So that dichotomy that Capricorn established, Cancer kind of went into it in a very intuitive and emotional way and understood the nuance of nature. So that's why Cancer holds the manifestation of any kind of birthing energy. So what it is birthing, it's birthing this limitless without limitation. It's birthing the cyclic pattern of past and present and birth and death, and understanding the regenerative power that lies within the death energy, which started with scorpionic archetype. So you see that, that is the thing, in most of our astrology, even though we say that astrology is all linked, you cannot separate, but when we talk about it, we separate those, almost like we express signs like as if like a personality or behavioral test, but it's not. Astrology is a very very old ancient knowledge, and it will be really shame if we reduce this knowledge of astrology just to describe personality and characteristics, and that's why whenever that's why you can see that every sign is mix of all this sign. So now we are talking about Capricorn, we are talking about Cancer. Now we come to Scorpionic archetype. So Cancer, that is the birth energy. It's a regenerative power of death that drives the birth energy. So that is what Scorpio wanted to communicate, but we like mob or civilization kind of outcast Scorpio because they are not used to, they kind of got like traumatized by this introduction of concept of death in such a normalized way that Scorpio did. But now from Scorpio to Cancer, we are now not in a primal energy. Now we are into manifested energy. So people are understanding, we are more open to death energy and really understanding what really death is it a death of life? No, it's not. So what it is, so that's what the when Cancer understands that, that's why Cancer manifests the birthing energy. That's why Cancer is ruled by cardinal water, which can birth things. All right. So now after Cancer archetype, now we are getting into Gemini. So what is Gemini? So Gemini is, first of all, it's a air element. It's ruled by Mercury. It's a mutable sign, and it's a third and last archetype of air element after Aquarius and Libra. So before we get into Gemini, let's touch upon a little bit about how Aquarius started. Okay, or what, because Aquarius is the first air energy. If you know this sign, this whole series, I am taking Pisces is the beginning of the zodiac wheel, and Aries is the wrapping that circle with Aries. All right. So Aquarius, what Aquarius wanted to, because after Pisces is all about potential, like pure potential of birth. That's why Cancer is manifesting that birth energy that Pisces is actually, you know put the seed in the ground. That's the initiation of the birthing energy. Then Scorpio understanding death, and finally Cancer is the manifestation of birth energy, right? Same way Aquarius, after Pisces, Aquarius came, and Aquarius wanted to create something. Aquarius wanted to build something because it's a air energy. It's like I want to create a whole new mental energy, but Aquarius did not understand at the time because he's a very novice. It's like a baby, just coming out of Pisces, the creating the first. It comes with, our mind is born first, or from like first we're born with water, which is our all about instinct and soul, and then the mind is forming. So Aquarius is the novice for, it's a very beginning of that formation. So Aquarius wanted to do so much new innovative ideas because he's bursting with all this creative energy, but it did not understand because he's so early in the phase, that he did not understand a lot about nature, how nature works, to really implement those ideas in a concrete, in a way that can be manifested. So then, when we come to Libra, Libra is all about, okay, we are getting to understand Libra is the beginning of the manifestation cycle, beginning of social structure, beginning of civilization, beginning of relationship, beginning of everything that we can see the and feel, and feel like, okay, we are in kind of collective, that sense of collective that Aquarius had in their heart but couldn't manifest it because it did not understand a lot of way to maneuver in this earthy nature terrain. But Libra kind of understood how to work with people. What is the Libra kind of understand that duality between self and other, and how to relate with this duality. What is self, and where self ends and where other starts, where other ends and where self start? Is there any gap between self and other? Is it the same thing? All this concept, the concept of duality and self and other, and without the duality, the existence of self, neither self nor other exist. So those kind of concepts are started manifesting in Libra. But Libra, and now the Gemini is coming. So Libra, okay, so Libra talk really focused on this, how to make people and make us and make itself understand the concept of duality, how to understand that self and others are in the same parameter, they are co-creating in order to exist. Nobody, neither self nor other, can exist on its own. That conception of duality and how it really penetrate to the mechanism of creation, that's what Libra understand. And Libra understood through the understanding of relationship, understanding of relatable equation between subject, between two subject, between subject and object, between subject and object, between anything that we are surrounded by, that we are cerebrally thinking, that we are gut feeling, everything, and how we are relating to all this in order to create a sense of self and in order to create a sense of other. That's what was Libra. And now we are getting into the third sign of air element. And third sign is want to surpass, it's a taboo breaker, it's a spirited soul, it's a cultural hero, so called. Gemini introduced the concept of soul. So Libra manifested the concept of duality, self and other, and how this duality works together in order to create something that can exist in the material world. Gemini creates the manifest the concept of soul. And what is the concept of soul? Concept of soul is when we surpasses the concept of duality, when we and get into the concept, the soul theme of unity. We are going to talk a lot about this concept because this is very very interesting to really understand, and more we understand, then we can slowly can implement in our day-to-day life. Because understand excuse me, just understanding in a cerebral way really not going to make any change. That's why Aquarius couldn't really do much, because it all cerebral. So in order to really implement something, we have to bring that knowledge not only in the mind sphere but in our cellular memory. By doing this repetitive work, by creating a practice, by really honing it in our material reality. Anyway, so so what happened when, going back to Libra, right? We need to go back to Libra because Gemini comes right after Libra in a air element thing. So Libra was trying to understand ego beyond self, right? And Gemini is saying that It's like almost like bringing the concept of that Pisces is kind of brought up, which is like it's not even self and other. In order to really understand self, and in order to really respect other, we need to get into this energy of unity, meaning all this duality like day and night, good and evil, man and woman, and all these other things that I can think of that come into my mind, you know, these are, yes, everything is like yin and yang, but it does not, it is two different energy merging together in order to create the third energy. And the third energy does not understand the difference between yin and yang, day and night, light and dark, because the third energy that is created now with this relationship, after relation, coming together, relationship, two energy coming together, forming a relationship, creating with the cancerian arc energy, it birthing a third energy. And that third energy is Gemini, and the third energy is soul. In the realm of soul, dark and night, dark and light, good and evil, everything is same. So there is a lot of work that needs to be done on this understanding, because, and Gemini fall trap into that too. I'm gonna talk about this more. So in Gemini, we're upgrading the connection of other and self to a whole different level, an ultimate understanding of each other, where the sense of separation between self and other dissolves. And that makes that manifests through seeing others in souls, like everything, like tree, like nature, like object, like subject, like idea, understanding that those are not just um, everything around us has its own soul. Everything is living. Everything is, everything is created by whatever you call God, divine, universe. Everything is, nothing is just there for our entertainment. Nothing is just there for nothingness. And this concept that Gemini understands and wants to communicate with others. So, because, oh god, I'm getting, sorry, I'm getting a little drifted over there, because there is so much. So what's going on, Gemini is, by doing this, Gemini actually finally manifesting what Capricorn and Saturnic rule Capricorn and Aquarius wanted to conquer, which is like death and limitation. So if there is no difference between death and life, which Cancer understands, that's why it can give birth. Gemini is like, if there is no difference between death and life, then why we're so puzzled that we need to conquer death? If there is no limit, you know, put on us, that we structure as lifespan, which is very Capricorn is very concerned about that. Oh, I'm only gonna be living like what, like, just give me a number, like 70 years or 80 years. I need to do this, achieve this. I'm gonna have, I'm already 40, I need to have this and this and this, like those kind of material uh, like milestone, that is so Capricorn. Even if they don't want to Capricorn energy, but it kind of feels like they are kind of slave to that goal to achieve that milestone, because it feels that constant limiting energy. that, oh, I'm only, 80 years, I'm only gonna be living like this much, and I have so much to do, this and that. But like, if there is no concept, if there is no limitation, if there is no difference between life and death, then what is this limitation that we think that we are inside of? I know it sounds very up, out there, but yes, our physical body perishes. But, you know, s- when you understand the concept of unity, then the soul emerge, and soul is imperishable. It you like it cannot be destroyed. So because it's a Gemini is mercurial, it's a ruled by Mercury, and it's a mind oriented sign, so it really understand that concept. And that's why Gemini is like, Gemini energy is very light, is very shifting, because it's not really worried about this and that, bad and good, and this and that. It just living, it's just experiencing. So that brings to this, hold on. Yeah, I just put some notes before I said, um Gemini, yin and yang, night and day, birth and death, 5D in 3D, 3D in 5D, all exist within one, and nothing separated. A consolidated vibrating energy of soul. So okay, so now Gemini archetype understands that, but Gemini is a mercurial energy. So think about it. It wants to transcend that duality and get into the unity, vibration, and it is already in unity vibration. But it doesn't. Gemini is a very social, so it's never satisfied that, okay, I understand, so that's okay, I'm gonna be okay. No, Gemini wants to share that. Gemini is the god of communication, god of language, god of writing, god of calculation, god of manipulation. And that's why the god of Gemini is also called the god of tricksters. So what Gemini introduced, in this whole pool of archetypical energy, Gemini introduced, okay, that's why Gemini always get bad rap, because it's like, I'm gonna show you all shades of experience. I am not constant. Gemini energy not constant. And if I'm a soul and you are a soul, if there is no difference between bad and good, then how does it differ if I don't know, like, do so-called morally bad stuff? And that's where the manifestation of Gemini, when it is not really fully matured, most of the time in our society, they do all cuts of, very things that hurts people, that make people feel like, oh my god, you are just this one moment, the next moment you are something else. But the Gemini, what's is, because Gemini, think about that, the soul of the Gemini energy wants to make other people experience the different colors of that being. So one moment they can be very faithful, next moment they can be unfaithful. One moment they can be very loving, next moment they can be very despising. It's not that. So when they do that, when Gemini archetypical energy, I'm not talking about people, I'm talking about when Gemini energy does this wants to provoke our mind to think like, what is going on? I thought this person is like this, and now this person is like that. I thought this object works like that, but now it's working like this. By tricking us, and positioning this calculated premeditated method of manipulation, not to misguide us, but to really give us the taste of duality and the dark side of duality. When we think dark is dark, light is light, and dark is bad, light is good, when we associate this duality with certain kind of experience and situation, the dark side of that association creates this separation between us within, between lot of things. So the Gemini is it's okay, I'm gonna come to that because we need to talk about also Sagittarius, because remember Sagittarius and Gemini as the both axis of this, it's a both side of the same axis. We're gonna talk about that, but let me go. So this is very important that so we need to understand this. So this is a soul energy, right? So Gemini wants us to experience the duality and the dark side of duality, so that we transcend that energy of duality and really try to really get into the energy of unity, where we really appreciate the presence of dark and what the darkness is doing, the presence of eve, the presence of bad, what this bad is doing, the presence of night, what the night is doing, like not just sun, not just light, and not just good all the time. So because in soul energy there is, and it's just a pure vibrational energy. There is no, we associate whether based on our experience whether night is bad or good, whether day is bad or good based on our experience, but the day itself, the night itself does not hold any good or bad. It's a pure vibration energy, because everything that we see in this universe is vibrates on their soul energy. Our relationship to that soul energy based on our experience, and our experience is based on our position in the world, how we see things, and based on that knowledge we project our idea onto that and create our own experience. So you see that it's like, but the object and subject and experience itself doesn't hold any good or bad. That's what Gemini wants to communicate. But can they successfully do that? Most of the time, no, because Gemini is a manifested energy. Since Libra is a manifested energy, so that means it's not something primal, it's not something that we are born with, it's not something that comes very natural to us. We, yes, we are soul, but we are not born with the aware of this soul and understanding of soul of our own and soul of others. Those kind of knowledge, those kind of understanding is a manifested energy, so we make mistakes. We are evolving as we are practicing more and more those kind of, the more soul energy you practice, the better you are going to be to how to navigate with this soul energy, how to connect with each other with soul energy. But if you don't practice that, if you're constantly in a mind energy creates duality, soul energy creates unity. So if you're constantly in the mind energies, like my versus them, like us and them kind of separation, we, when we get into soul energy, we are very new to that, then we make mistakes. So because Gemini is the first manifestation of soul energy, so Gemini in our real practical 3D world makes a lot of mistakes, which creates a lot of disharmony, even though the intention behind Gemini energy is very, 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 very beautiful. But because they are so new to that soul manifestation of soul energy, they themselves, the Gemini energy I'm talking about, the Gemini energy, it itself sometimes holds that duality in their mind, because we need to understand one thing, that we all are soul, but in the material world we are the product of our situation, we are the product of our society, we are product of our environment that we are born into and growing up to be. Our society, for thousand and million years, you know we have been dealing with this dual energy, opposition energy. Look at our vocabulary that we use: contradiction, opposition, um, you know duality, separation. Those things are really doesn't exist in the vocabulary of soul energy, because we are coming from one linguistic culture to a different soul linguistic culture. So even though Gemini understand that everything is one, there is no difference between you know good or bad. It's my perception that makes it good and bad. But when it comes to practice, it still holds the conception of duality in its mind, because Gemini is a mind. So it, what I'm trying to say, it's so subtle that I'm having a little, like, that sometimes Gemini do all this kind of, like, trickster movement, manipulation, all this to give us an experience of dark side of duality. But they themselves, the Gemini energy itself, is sometimes are victim of that dark side of duality. Does it make sense? Like, let's say, I'm gonna give you an example. Like, let's say I'm honing this Gemini energy, right? And I, like, let's say I'm interacting with people, and I wanted to, I don't know, um like, let's say I'm in a relationship or something, and I wanted to give them an experience of not being loyal. Why I, from a Gemini perspective, why I wanted to give that experience, because I wanted to give that experience to them, because so that they can understand that, in if we are connected with each other in a mind base, then those kind of things matters: loyalty, faithfulness, and all that. But if you are connected with soul, then those things are doesn't matter, because our soul are so interconnected. There is no space for whether you are loyal or not, whether you are unfaithful or not, whether you are lying or not. Those things are mere creation of mind oriented reality, just so that they can understand the soul oriented reality of our relationship. I wanted to give them an experience of dark side of mind oriented relationship. What is the dark side? Is like constantly paranoid about whether my partner is loyal or not, whether my partner is faithful or not. I'm not saying that people are worried about that, everyone, but I'm just giving a random example, right? So that was my intention. But I am also a product of the society which believes in duality. So when I am trying to implement this soul oriented experiment, what I'm doing, I am, in my mind, I also perceive that unfaithfulness is bad thing. I also perceive that relationship needs loyalty. You see that I myself are prison prisoned within those conditions. So when I am applying this experiment, I am also coming from that. I'm not coming from a soul point of view, even though I want to implement that soul goal. But myself, my own position, coming from the manifested world of mind, of duality, I consider my partner as other. If I really considered my partner, like, this is the condition of souls. That's why, as we are getting more and more into soul realm, and we are, as a collective, we are really getting away from duality and getting into this energy of unity. It is very important to understand, before we judge or anything, that where we are, and there is no blame game. We all are learning, and we all are trying to be our best version every day. And even though it doesn't look like that best version, oh, this is your best version, I mean, I thought that's your worst. But that is, that's where the compassion is coming, because everybody is trying, but maybe it's not up to the mark that as we are expecting, because we are not looking at ourselves, where is our position. So that's what Gemini does most of the time in material world. That's why Gemini has such a bad rap, because it feels like, oh, I wanted to give you this experience. Why, if you love me, why can't you take my darker side? But the thing is, yes, I can take your darker side, but the moment you experimenting on me, the moment you think that I am other and I need to accept you this way, then you are also not coming from a soul perspective, because soul, there is no difference between self and other. If you really believed in soul, if you really coming from that conception of soul, or coming from that energy of unity, then you don't even feel the need to put me in experimentation where I have to prove that I don't believe in faithfulness or loyalty in relationship, because you and I are the same. But in order for me to generate that effect, you need to come from a soul perspective where you don't put me in a relation experimentation, or in a some kind of test where you feel that I'm separate from you. You see that? That's why Gemini creates so much of mayhem and so much of chaos, because they feel like, oh, I'm coming from a good intention. Yes, you are, but the way you are manifesting your intention is mind based manifestation. But you have to understand, Gemini is the first energy of soul. So, but you are not working on the timeline of a mind based reality, or working on the timeline of a soul based reality. In soul based reality, those things doesn't exist. So what Gemini does, Gemini is a god of communication, god of writing. That's why Gemini wants to communicate. Gemini wants to give all this. Gemini wants to break the taboo. Gemini wants to, it's like, that's why Gemini is called cultural hero. Gemini is, that's why Rahu, North Node in Western astrology, is exalted in Gemini, because Rahu wants to bring us to soul, because so that Rahu, if we go there, because that's where we are gonna go. Rahu Ketu is the same thing, and the south node Ketu is our moksha, our liberation, because that's where our liberation is, understanding soul. The moment we're gonna talk in souls, that's where we are gonna be liberated from the material world, even though we are gonna be living in the material world. That's why 5D in 3D and 3D in 5D, there is no clear cut differences. So Gemini wants to, that's why Gemini writes, Gemini wants to communicate, Gemini wants to create these different ideas of contradiction, so-called contradiction, so that we understand contradiction, and more is sink into our mind. We understand there is no contradiction. We are creating this constant contradiction in our mind. That's why we're so puzzled. But if we really get into a soul energy, there is no contradiction, there is no opposition, there is no differences. So it's all about acceptance and the vibration of love energy. So the Gemini, Taurus and Aries is the highest, that's where the soul journey starts, from Gemini, manifestation of soul. So that's why, because it's so new to that, Gemini makes a lot of things in our material world that that doesn't sound like soul sometimes. But that's the example that I just gave. This is where the discrepancy happens. So now get back to Sagittarius. The another other side of this axis is Sagittarius. So what Sagittarius wanted to do, if you remember in the Sagittarius video, the Sagittarius, all Sagittarius want is this unity through idea. Create a universal truth, not create, find a universal truth, and really bind people, bring people together to understand that universal truth, so there will be no duality. So Sagittarius understood that main problem of our unhappiness, of all this war and all that, is duality, opposition. So Sagittarius wanted to bring the ultimate truth which surpasses this opposition. But it did not happen, because our mind cannot be unified like that. Because our mind is very versatile and we all have our own mind. So that's why Gemini, other side, Gemini understood that Gemini also wants to bring people together. But Gemini understood we cannot bring people together through mind, because mind is deceptive, mind is manipulative, mind is calculated, mind is fear driven, and all this other thing. Because mind is, we are not born with mind. We born with soul, and we form our mind as a reaction or response to surviving. tactics. So each person, based on their surviving situation, created their own mind. So it won't be it is not possible to harmonize every mind on this world into one. But Gemini understand, okay, we can do that if we really get into the vibration of soul, because in soul energy everything is one, everything is unity. So opposition has no place to exist, but Gemini does that with that. So hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Gemini wants to do that. So it's, you see that how, even now, see this, like Gemini and Sagittarius, so-called opposition um, sign, right? Opposite sign like Libra, Aries. But you see that everybody is working towards one thing. There is no opposition. It's just the method of doing it is different. And it's not even that, okay, like, you see that how Gemini integrate the purpose of Sagittarius into their action. So this is the note I have written, okay, before this video. So I'm just going to read it out. The god of language, the god of writing, the god of intellect, ideas, calculation, manipulation, also called the god of tricksters, controls the mind by magic, manipulation, trickery. It shows us the dangerous outcome of duality and how it divides, how it creates separation between acceptance and rejection. That's why Gemini is ruled by mind ruling planet Mercury. And through communication writing, it wants to bridge the gap between human and God. God is like, which is the first introduced by Gemini, Sagittarius. That's why Sagittarius rule religion, high studies, and all that. It's ruled by Jupiter, the leader of pantheon. In other words, between soul and mind, because mind process information in duality but soul process information in unity. In soul language, darkest and night, evil and good, all same, and with deep empathic understanding of this dichotomy creates a common light of knowledge. See, Sagittarius wanted to create a common knowledge to unite. Gemini is also creating the common knowledge. You see that nothing, there is no separation between nothing. Because we don't understand, we feel like, oh, I'm doing this, you are doing that, completely 180-degree. There is nothing like that. Sorry. Which is the primary goal of Sagittarius, the opposite axis placement of Gemini. And through these tricksters' activities, we come to know the old ancient lost knowledge of unity. Gemini is a transcendental, mercurial, intellectual sign, so it does not try to persuade people the truth of unity and soul by teaching like Sagittarius. It teaches us through lived experience, through real life situation and circumstances. It challenges our mind to really understand the dark side of duality and come into the unison energy where bad, negative, evil all transmuted to pure vibration and energy. No preconceived notion about any taboo, any idea, any existence, but absolute understanding and acceptance. And we do that through this soul energy of unity. Oh, astrology is beautiful, no? Anyway, so next we are going to be doing Taurus. Oh my god, Taurus is the final, because Aries starts the new cycle actually. So Taurus is the final epitome of existence in the realm of soul. Um, so we're gonna do that next. I will try to finish this whole series, that Taurus and Aries, by this end of this month. So I have like 4 days left, maybe, hopefully. And after that, I'm gonna start masterclass, tarot energy masterclass, um, for everybody. Very excited for that. um, how to really get into this energy reading, because tarot, oracle, everything is nothing. It's all energy, it's all soul vibration and energy understanding. That's why I wanted to do this series beforehand, before I get into this teaching thing, because we really understand the energy, everything around us, in the sense of energy. And I wanted to do this astrological sign. So I hope you get something out of it. And next time, bye bye.